Here I am, Leon C., aka Morpheus, back again and again and again and again to empower you and to bring unity and justification to your soul, to the inner person that you are, because that is my angle and that is your concern. That's why you all pray at night. That's why you all carry the rosary. That's why you all believe that there is a God and a justifier of your life. But we're going to talk about something that is long time coming that we barely get a chance to talk about. That for some of you do not realize it's within you. And I am not a psychologist, okay? And yes, I have counseled many people, but not from the professional standpoint of view where I had to go to school for it, I had to go through the organizations for it. If I did that, then I would be a contradiction to what I'm telling you. But based on experience, I have done so, all for the sake of being an advisor, just advice, just being a good ear, being someone that people can rely upon to tell them the truth. So when that happens, you can be considered as anything. You can be called a teacher. You can be called a loving brother. You could be giving counsel. Okay? You could be supporting someone where they really need help. So as your brother, I am here to empower you. And I'm here to give you a red pill that you probably don't get a chance to see every day. And you saw the title of this video called Forgiveness. This is a very big thing. Forgiveness and truth behind forgiveness. We have a problem. And our problem is we are engulfed in corporeal, vicarious fear. Whereas the body in which we are in that harnesses and holds our car, or as a car of our soul, being condensed down from the elements of the universe to enwrap itself in our soul, or around our soul as a protection. So goes the density of our bones. So goes the density of our organic nature. And so goes the density also of our mind, how we carry ourselves every day with each other. Most times we can come across people who will do us wrong. You're going to come across people who might do wrong to someone else. But then you say, oh, I forgive you, or I forgive them. But yet you still lock your door. Yet you still build bridges. Yet you will still think twice about doing the same measure. No, I'm not saying that we need to be defenseless. That's not what Morpheus is saying. I'm not saying that we do not need to lock our doors, because out of 10 people, there may be one that might want to walk into your door because they have nothing else better to do. So I'm not saying that. I'm talking internally and spiritually. Whereas American people, instead of trying to work towards something greater, we are working towards something lesser. In one of my other videos, I talked about how we are building bridges one brick at a time against the outside world. Where we have security system here. We got a defense system there. We got insurance over here. We constantly build up this fortress of defense. Where when your life is said and done, and when your clock hits 12 o'clock, you have already made a casket out of your metaphysical, spiritual, corporeal flesh. And then your body follows afterwards. Because what we are doing as a species, as human people, as a human race, as American people, instead of working towards being more united with each other on a more positive or trusting or I forgive you mentality, we rather use the experience of other people and experience of ourselves to dislodge ourselves further, because y'all not going to take the security system off your car. You're still going to wonder about stranger danger. Okay? You're still going to have security systems wherever you go. You're not going to take the cameras down. You're just going to add more cameras. So it doesn't matter what Morpheus say, because you're still going to do it no matter what, until you are walking into a society where everything that you got to do is by fingerprint. And it's just about getting there. Your entire DNA being rewritten and read all over again, because y'all so scared to be humans, because, oh, I just don't want that to happen to me. So this security measure will help. So you add another computer, then another computer, then another computer. And by the time you're done, the only thing that's protecting you is a computer. You hide into the shell of what you've created, instead of being out of the shell and being free to do whatever you need to do without the fear of whatever that might be. There is positive that we have on the news and on the media. Rarity. 1 out of 10. But 9 of them are always about something that scares the pants off of you. Scares the pants off of your children. Make you worry about the future. Make you worry about your children. And all the while, when you work into it, you're not realizing that they're creating fear in your mind. Fear makes you buy things. Don't take my word for it. If some of you know about this movie called The Ice Age, it's an animated movie where that guy who played Everybody Loves Raymond as this mammoth. I think it was Ice Age 2. And there was a thing about the ice that was around them that was crumbling down. And there was a stigma that one of these days those ice caverns the cavity was just going to cave in and flood where they were living at, in that chasm, that lower plane, right? And there was one person, there was one of these person that was a turtle that was actually benefiting off of the fear of everybody, where he was selling products and talking about, oh, if you drown, you can use this straw, causing all kind of fear. And what did people do? They brought into it. They brought into it. Every time they would jump, they would buy into it. That's the same as when you go into some of these public areas, like the movies or the stores or something like that, and you have these no gun signs. Mind you, people, if you put no gun sign on the wall, I mean, people who don't care about the law is going to go into that shop because they see there's no guns allowed in the shop. They realize nobody inside probably do not have a gun. That's not smart. Okay? Wouldn't it be better for people inside the store to have a gun, to actually defend off people who are coming into the store with the gun? Why would you put a no gun sign on the door? That's stupid. Okay, that's really stupid. Oh, just call the cops. Yeah, they're going to be there 3 minutes later after you're already laying down and you're gone. Okay? That's stupid. Because somebody needs to protect you, and computers is not going to do it. Anyway. So what this salesperson did was scared everybody who was actually going from one location to the next. Now, yes, the cabin was coming in. The ice was breaking. Yes, it was going to fill up eventually, but the level of fear did not need to be so high, because most of them survived, you see. Most of them was going to live their everyday life to get to that raft that they were trying to get on. But there was one specific person, others, that was making it bad for everybody else, to increase the fear, to increase the dissension, to increase the mistrust, to increase the I can't forgive you situation because I know you're going to do it again, or I know you're going to do it because it's been told that it was done before mentality. So therefore, you find yourself living alone in your mind and spirit because you can't trust no one, because you can't really trust yourself. That's the truth. And you can't forgive no one because you can't really forgive yourself, because you make bad decisions. And sometimes we do make bad decisions. But if we are trying to move this country to a prosperous, more open-minded society, what we're going to have to learn how to do, and I know it's going to be hard for y'all because y'all not going to do it until death do us part, some of you, is retract yourself from the fear that you have put in your own mind. I know mothers and fathers who are living day to day on pins and needles because of what they hear on the news. That's the reaction that the news wanted. I know, and I hear them all the time talking about, us, all I ever do is watch the news because I just want to know the latest thing that's happening because, oh my God, this world is crazy. This world is out of their mind. No, that's what they want you to think, because I can guarantee you, somewhere on the other side of the grass, okay, people are living okay. There's a marriage somewhere that's working. There's a child being born somewhere, just not in your area. There are people who are getting along, who's having party, who's just relaxing and living their life as they should. It's just you are not, because you don't want to, because you don't want to face reality. And the news and other media and other fear dogma don't want you to. Because the more fear they put in your mind, the more they can control you and your society. Y'all didn't get that. You don't comprehend that, huh? You didn't get what I just said, huh? It's probably going one ear and out the other, right? So that way you can buy their products and their security products, right? So that way you can go ahead and get these high-tech things that's going to cost you more than what it's worth. Okay? Because you're scared. Mind you, just like that movie, The Ice Ages 2, that's not saying that it's not happening or that it cannot happen. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that your heightenedness of fear is extended far beyond what it needs to be. Because when you are scared, you can't think. When you are overly worried and nervous, you can't think with your logical mind. So you'll buy into anything. Don't you think that's why they put fear in the Bible? Why do they tell you, oh, either you do right or you go to hell? Or, oh, if you don't believe in God and you don't believe in gesture, then you're going to go in the pit of hell and burn forever. It's called fear. It's the same thing. Most people, they sit in the church because of that. Most people follow religion because of that. Most people go and buy these fancy cars, okay, with all these extra, security system on there because I just don't want nobody stealing my car, man. It's just easy, man. Just all this stuff, man. This is jazzed all up. All that stuff draining your battery. Unnecessary. And not to mention, my dear friends, these cars that y'all have, that you have a key chip in your key fob where all you got to do is get close to your car and it'll unlock the door. Okay? You are opening yourself for an easy steal. Okay? People have technology now to be able to encode your information off of your card, or your card you might keep in your pocket, or your fob, wherever it is, and know how to get in your car. It makes it easier for your car to steal. It's amazing how technology is so smart. And y'all buy it. Wow. Anyway, getting back on this. Forgiveness is what we need to start learning. I watch the court system. You do. You watch the news. You watch all these I'm going to strike you down mentality. Rarely do we hear, I forgive you? Now I know what y'all thinking, that yeah, there's been some things where Christians, they they forgave people for shooting up the church, or they forgave other people for hurting them and their family members and all this and all that. Let me tell you something about religion and Christians per se. Okay? The reason why they're insignificant is because they turn the other cheek. They are of no value when it comes to moving the country forward. Now I'm going to tell you why. Okay? And again, do your own research, read books. Okay? Read the book, The Art of War. Okay? Life every day is a struggle. There comes a time where you can't turn the other cheek. There comes a time where you have to take action. There comes a time, yes, I say you have to forgive, but there comes a time where you can't forgive. Okay? This non-forgiving situation is for those who close out the deal altogether and don't think with the logical sense that one situation is not the same as others. And I'm going to tell you why. And I know this branches off with two subjects, but I don't want to confuse you here for some small-minded people. Okay, if you can remember, you comprehend what I'm saying. Okay? When you are forgiving someone who deserves forgiveness or need forgiveness, is when you understand them and the species type from where they come from. Okay? Like when you're having a misunderstanding with children, okay? Or people who don't do their history, people who don't research, people who don't do this and that, okay? And they say something or they do something that is against you, you have the right to forgive them because you realize that they're not as at that level as they need to be. Okay? A lot of stuff that happened in the past to the black community, okay, wasn't because these people didn't know what they were doing. They knew what they was doing by the program mind of the society. So over time, you can forgive somebody so much where you have to take action after a certain amount of grace. You just don't automatically give them grace if you don't know the conditions. For example, the assaults on some of these cultures are like on some black people being some of the number one Christians that are out there, some of the number one, not all of them, compared to the Catholic faith. Okay? Just because you forgive somebody or you turn the other cheek, that doesn't mean that that makes you holier than thou or clean in the eyes of whatever deity that you're servicing. Because sometimes you need to take action depending on how deep and how bad that action is. But if you have a church dispensation that thinks of being a docile species in patsy in all its directions, then you're not trying to produce anything for the environment. So that means your actions become insignificant. And you take no initiatives in your actions. So therefore, turning the other cheek at that time does nothing to change the curriculum, especially if a lot of them are still talking about how there's black abuse, how there's constant police brutality. Okay, why would you complain about all that if y'all don't do anything, if you just turn the other cheek? You might as well forgive them for annihilating you if that's the case. Okay, the thinking capacity goes that far. But when it comes to dissuading yourself and separating yourself from the religious concept of forgiveness, being an individual without that dogma of religion, because that's what it is, okay? You have to learn how to decipher why you are forgiving. Why you are forgiving is because you're trying to move in the right direction to change things. You see what I mean? To change things, to change the spectrum where it's doing more harm for you than it would be for your own persons. I know mothers who had an argument with their mom over their kid. And their grandma was going to go out of town to Disneyland. Okay? And they were taking, their grandma was taking her grandkids there, a big van load, right? Because the mom of the child did not see eye to eye with the mother, okay, and they got into an argument that night before, she decided that she was not going to forgive her mom, And she was like, I don't care about what she say. No, my kids are not going. I'll take them to Disneyland next year. So what ended up happening is she ended up hurting her own children and limiting her own children's adventure, limiting her own children's chance to travel and to do something different based on her unforgiveness and based on her lack of understanding between herself and her mother. And so that disregard of not forgiving did not stop there, my American family. Listen to what the teacher is telling you. Listen. In all its ranges, it started to continue, whereas the mother always thought that the grandmother was always trying to slight her. Then it got to the point where Facebook got involved with it, where they were beginning to say things behind each other's back. And they thought it was still based on those minor arguments, but it was just a big major misunderstanding. So because they could not forgive each other, it continuously spiraled out of control to where the children began to continue suffering, and there was no ventilation of the families or no mending of coming together and talking about the situation. That's when you need to find out to forgive and to forgive yourself for being ignorant. Forgive yourself for not understanding. Forgive yourself for not having the experience of knowing why that person is doing what they are doing or what they did. That's why you got to forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for wasting so much time, for mistrusting and holding a brick wall against that other person. You got to forgive yourself for doing that, because you hurt yourself just as much as hurting that other person, because by you separating yourself from that other person, you're actually hurting yourself. Eventually, are those who are around you. So what forgiveness does is break down that wall and help you to move forward to a brighter future, not just for yourself. When you have kids, it's definitely for the kids. When it have came to the black community, or you could say to the church situation, where you will have someone say, oh, I forgive you for shooting. I forgive you for doing this to my daughter. I forgive this and for that. That's been going on for years. Okay, it's one thing for this mother over here to forgive the mom. Listen, to forgive the mom and understand their misunderstanding, and then the mom turn around and bam, do it again. You're like, Mom, come on now, let's work this out. Boom, and she do it again. You're like, hey, Mom, listen, I'm trying to understand where you're coming from and why you keep doing. Listen, I already forgave you before. Let's move on. And boom, and it happens again. Then it's time to make changes. Then that's when you separate yourself from them and say, hey, done deal. We can't do this again. I'll forgive you, but listen, I got to hold this brick wall up for a reason, because you are devastating to me and my family and my kids. I gave you 4, 5, 6 different chances, and you disrespected me. Even when I tried to get an understanding. For the situation over here with Christianity, or you could say with religion telling you, oh, you just need to automatically forgive them or turn the other cheek for somebody did you wrong. Okay? It's still the same logic, because it has happened over and over and over again. You got to get to the point to where you say, okay, if I know brutality has been happening for years, if I know that we've been kicked down for years, why would I sit up here and let the bully kick me down even more? Do you think forgiving the bully is going to keep the bully from bullying you? If anything, it makes the bully want to bully you more, because that means you're not going to defend yourself. That's just like this mother. If she turned the other cheek and did not try to make amends at all, and just said, oh, well, she can do whatever the heck she want to do, even if I say stop, or even if I say I forgive you, okay, her turning her other cheek is still ain't going to stop her mom from doing damage to her and her kids. So there comes a time where you do have to draw the line and say, listen, I trust you. I'm going to give you this much room. I believe you, or I'm gonna forgive you. I'm gonna give you this much room, okay? And I'm gonna keep working with you along the way so we can get to a positive place of being. When you do all that you can and you realize that person is just toxic, you realize that person does not mean you any good at all, not just based on historical facts, but based on activity itself, then you have the right to shut it down and say, I just don't want to deal with that anymore. That's with both aspirations. So thinking, oh, I just need to turn the other cheek. No, that's stupid. Because bullies don't care if you turn the other cheek or not. They're going to hit the other cheek and knock you out for being docile. Most communities have a church on every corner, and trust me, my American family, that's not moving the country forward, because we still have a juvenile system that's almost just as big as a prison system. So don't tell me that it's being effective. It never was about the Christian ideology or religion. It's about having good sense and taking the liberation, taking the initiative of thinking for yourself. Now let's take this to the next level of understanding here. The problem that we are having here in this nation is that we feel as if we have to walk on separate sidewalks because of what the television and media have done to you to think that everybody's crazy. Everybody is not crazy. Our bridging fear into your mind are making you think these possibilities of this is going to happen because this is happening, which that's not the truth. Then what happened is you have increased security. Like, for example, the police officers that are in the schools. Okay? That's not to say that they should not be in the schools. Just ask yourself a question. Why are they in the school? It's called security. It's called mistrust. It's called because they had to start putting up bridges and walls because of what other people were doing. That's just dealing with the results. That's not dealing with the roots of the problems. The roots of the problems was what we was doing at home with our own kids. What we provided for our kids at home. How we didn't raise our kids at home. Single moms. Okay? So trust me, that's not going to recede no time soon. Because we still ain't getting ourselves together first. When we begin to forgive and trust again. Listen. Forgiving bridges to trust. Trust bridges to a greater prosperity and a greater possibility. Don't let these lying media, don't let the television, don't let all this stigma only create fear in your life, in your heart. Because that's going to keep you from mistrusting. And along with trust, why do you think we have so many broken marriages and relationships? Because we don't trust y'all, because y'all holding so many, there is so much to distract the relationship. There's so much to destroy the relationship. There's so much to lose, especially by the vicarious experiences of other people and other men. And we have legitimate right. There is significant evidence and right to be afraid about what will happen in a divorce or what will happen in a breakup in a relationship, because nobody wants to get their heart broken. We know that. There's a significant reason why you don't want to get involved in somebody long term, because it can be long term jeopardy. But what I'm telling you is this. Listen to what I'm saying. If you understand the message as a whole, what good is it going to do for you and for your future? What kind of future do you have to continue going down that path of mistrust, unforgiving, separated, dissension, fearful security, and a computerized lifestyle? You are dead already and don't know it. Every year of your life, when something happened, you put up a brick wall here, brick wall there, brick wall there, brick wall there, up against everybody. When you're done, you are living in a bubble, which is a false reality, and you don't know it. Our angle as a species now Okay? We should be well beyond our ignorance of self by now. We should have enough good evolution and sense to realize that the solution is not building more walls. The solution is bringing the walls down. We should have better sense to realize that when you mistrust somebody, that's the end of the world. Then why are we condoning mistrust? Because fear condones and produces mistrust. You understand? What are you creating for your children? What do you see for tomorrow for American people? It wasn't, listen, when I tell you about history, when I tell you about facts, America wasn't always like that. It started to be like that. How? Broken families at home, extra ubiquitous technology into homes, lots of distractions, media, too much social media, and the television always telling you that something's happening next door or down the street. So your quality of life end up going downhill right along with it. Are y'all beginning to comprehend what I'm talking about as far as America going down the slope? Now do you realize why I'm talking about your empowerment? It starts right here inside you. It starts with your psychology. At home, mommy, daddy, grandpa, grandma, the person, the human organic flesh that you are, not the computer that you are. I'm not talking to your Apple phone. I'm not talking to your iPhone, and I'm not talking to your political debates. I'm talking to the human being that you are. Because you are the foundation of a new future. You don't want your new future being based on mistrust. You don't want the new future being based on fortifying yourself with fear and unforgiveness, because if you don't never forgive, okay, then that mistrust is going to be there. And there's going to be nothing but security grids and walls, and you're not going to be anything but the plastic computer that you allowed yourself to be embodied in, and nothing else. You got to comprehend its mathematical equation. Logic is like a mathematical equation. It's like science, where you put something together, you're going to get a reaction, right? So if we building all this fear and mistrust and oh, I just don't forgive you because I just don't forgive you because, man, this happened before. I know you're going to do it again, so I'm just going to mistrust you. And I'm going to build this camera right in your face because I know that you're going to steal it. I just don't care, right? Common sense would tell a dumb, deaf, dead dog that if you keep building up on something that's negative, okay, that's all you're going to get. We're supposed to be advanced right now, where we need to start learning, yeah, be cautious. Yes, build protection walls. Yes, secure yourself, but your idea, your focus should not be to allow that to stay there, because that's going to be the direction would be to take that brick down one brick at a time, okay, until that wall is no longer there. We say, okay, I can trust you again. Now we can move forward. Now we can be a family. Now we can be husband and wife. Now we can be boyfriend and girlfriend. Now we can do this. Now we can raise our kids. Now I can trust again. Now I don't need this camera. I don't need this focus. I don't need the security system, because I can trust you, because we're doing the right thing, because you're doing the right thing. What y'all do is build this wall and say, okay, this is permanent. I don't care. I'm going to walk away from it. I don't care what you say. This is going to be a part of it's going to be impervious, and it's going to be everything that the American construct is going to be about when all is said and done. Trust and believe me, okay? You are already said and done. I told you this before. You have made your living coffin while you are existing. You're not living, you're just existing in these walls, because you don't forgive, because you mistrust. And when you need to forgive or don't need to forgive, you don't comprehend it, because you need other people to think for you. So when you are doing that, common sense would tell you, what am I working towards? It's like defense system. When you're battling with somebody and you parrying and you got a shield, you block them for a short time, then you bring the shield back down. to see what they're going to do. You don't have a choice, because you are builders of the future tomorrow. If what you build, you anchor it to the ground and say, this is exactly what's going to be. I'm not going to change my idea. I don't care what anybody say. I don't never trust my mom again. I would never trust my daddy again. I would never trust my family again. I would never trust him again. I would never trust him again. Then all you are doing is limiting yourself and destroying your own possibility of a future that is to come for those who's going to be bridged and produced after you. So therefore, listen. Therefore, your kids in the next generation is going to have to suffer for the coffin that you made. So instead of them living, they are dying by mistrust. Instead of them living, they are dying by not forgiving or understanding what true forgiveness is. Because of your lack of building the right thing, you started building the wrong thing. Walls are built for a reason, but they're also built to be brought down for a reason. If you build those walls up, you're not doing up and creating separation. We have enough of that here in America. We got enough movements as it is. We have enough hate drive as it is. We have enough hate pronunciations as it is. We got enough cartoons and movies calling women or even men perverts or perversion, when that just means a perversion of nature. A woman being attracted to a man is not a perversion. A man being attracted to a woman is not a perversion. Why do we have these grown women calling grown men perverts? How is that a being perversion when he's attracted to the opposite sex? But yet, some of you think when a man is attracted to another man, it's not a perversion. That means perversion of nature. Some of you don't comprehend what the definition of that is. So when we misconstrue this, what type of future are we making? Now, that's not to defend, that's not to try to offend some of y'all or step on some toes. I'm telling you exactly how as it is. Because even nature has its own idea of its balance, and we supposed to be superior species, supposed to be smarter than animals, can't even think outside of our own. We can't even think within the instincts of our own human nature. Did we lose our instinct somewhere? Yes. In fear and mistrust. This is Leon C, and I'm ending this video on this note. If you don't like what I said, too bad. Do your own research and figure it out for yourself. I have a book for many of you. Give it to others who need some liberation. Give it to those who have problems with forgiving you. Give it to those who realize that the changes need to be made for tomorrow's America by not building walls, but bringing walls down, and realizing that we are making this big pizza slices off of something that's supposed to be actually whole, and you wonder why we are all suffering. Give it to those who think that their mistrust is healthy. Give it to those who think that they can do it all by themselves and they don't need to depend on a man, because they don't trust that a man is beater. They don't trust that a man is going to support them. They don't trust that that man is going to cheat them. Don't you realize that some people, they don't get in a relationship because they're afraid that they're going to get cheated on, even though they never see it happening, even though they don't think it's going to happen? Or, which is a very big thing, they don't get in a relationship because they've been cheated on before, and they think that the one that they're with or going to be with is going to do the same thing. They don't comprehend that they built this big cage of stupidity and fear and unforgiveness. When you don't forgive that person that did wrong to you, you're going to make somebody else suffer for what that other person did. So that means you're going to be expecting that other person to do the same thing that the other person did, and they're not even going to do it. Most times they have a different perspective. Most times they have a different idea of how they're going to be able to talk to you and deal with you, but you diminish their possibility because you want to sit up here and make them be guilty of something that they never even intended to do to begin with, because you don't know how to break that bridge down to be able to love yourself enough to open up an idea for them to be able to produce what they can actually give for you in their own independence and energy. If y'all don't understand that, go back to kindergarten. We need to, by now, start moving towards a more positive atmosphere. If we're going to make America better, if we're going to increase our strength, if we're going to unite ourselves and keep the criminology down, if we're going to start increasing the human nature of sensible doing, not the unsensible, ignorant behavior that humans are doing today within our country, if we need to eliminate that, we have to start with our thinking. We got to start with how we are looking at reality, and our reality perceptions are twisted and it's upside down. That's what you call perversion. That's what you mean a perversion of nature, when nature is twisted upside down with the misconstrued perception. Perversion is not man and woman. Perversion is when man and woman don't know that they're man and woman. That's what perversion is. Perversion if we don't realize we're building up brick walls instead of trying to break those brick walls down. That's what perversion is. Perversion is if we don't realize that we are making a distortion for our future and a blockade for our future. We're not trying to do anything to bring that blockade down and to bring things together. And don't get this wrong. And I know some of you misunderstanding what I'm saying because some of you are used to misunderstanding because you've been raised that way. What I mean by a man not knowing he's a man and a woman not knowing he's, I'm not talking about transgenderism, mind you. If y'all got it that way, if that was your perception, then perhaps that's just for you. But I'm talking about this on a different subject here. Let that be your pun, okay? But on this one, I'm talking about men who ain't doing what they know they should do as their own gender type. Meaning being the alpha man, meaning being the leader of the home, meaning taking care of the business that they know need to be taken care of. And the same thing as a female herself, her trying to do his chores and do his job and trying to take over him and still pretending to be the female at the end of the day, even though she's wearing the pants. And him trying to wear the dress instead of him trying to modify things and be the leader and be the one that needs to be the logical thinker. Okay, he's sitting in the back seat or the passenger seat of her car, knowing full well she's not going to respect him at the end of the day. But he's comfortable being over there because he's not the man that he should be. So eventually she's going to trade him off for a real alpha male or a real guy who's going to actually lead her in the proper direction. That's what I'm talking about a woman not knowing she's a woman and a man not knowing he's a man. That's what perversion is. Now, like I said, this video. Like, share, and subscribe for multiple people who just don't comprehend that forgiveness is a way when it needs to be, but it is not the only way. And most times we have more unforgiveness that we are not forgiving, which is causing the distortion and the dilapidations of our values. And therefore that means we don't trust anybody and we don't trust ourselves, and that ain't gonna do nothing but kill us in the end because it's already a pre-made coffin. We need to build walls temporarily. Listen, you build walls temporarily until the war is over, then you bring the wall down. If you're trying to do something better for your country and for your people, you only lift it up when the hurricane passes and it's over, then you can bring the wall down. If we're constantly building up walls because we think something's going to happen, even if it's not, okay, you're done for. It's only logical and it only makes sense, because if you keep building, what's going to happen? You have no freedom. You have no ventilation, and you're not letting anything in and nothing's getting out. So you're already in your coffin and in your grave. We need to stop that. You understand? We need to be better, and we're supposed to know more by now. Trust is the way to love. Forgiveness is the way to eliminate mistrust. And building towards something positive instead of building towards something out of fear and dissension out of because somebody said this, or because, oh my God, we see it on the news and I just don't know because the news said. Half you idiots don't even see the stuff or even been there or ever even experienced it yourself, but yet you're going to be scared because it happened to somebody else. That's real smart. That's not the way to live, because it's not doing you any good and it's not doing our children any good. So you got to bring the brick walls down for your children. So therefore, when they come into your adulthood, or if they're already in your adulthood, or even for the future children of America's tomorrow, break those brick walls down so they can have freedom, so they can breathe, so they can swim in a state, in a country that doesn't have all these brick walls up, that keeps them from being who they really are or can be. You got my connections down there in the description box below, and my book for you, my wonderful fans and family. 2020 America Rise or Die. And you have my email there to ask your wonderful questions that I give back to you. This is Leon C., aka Morpheus,